121 Juliet Bravo, mayday, mayday, mayday. We are going down.
November 1 Juliet Bravo, roger.
These three gentlemen walking off the Coast Guard vessel after another successful Cirrus CAPS parachute deployment, this time over Lake Michigan, with these guys splashing in 14 miles offshore near Racine, Wisconsin. And the key to this crew's success shown right here, they all had life jackets. Let's check it out. My name's Juan Brown, you're watching the BLANCOLIRIO channel, and this video is brought to you by viewers like you that sponsor this channel here on Patreon. Thank you for your support. This accident occurred on Thursday, 11 September. The aircraft was a SR-22 GTS Generation 6 Carbon in its livery. Owner-operator Infosec Pros LLC, November 121 Juliet Bravo, the N number. The engine, Continental TSIO 550K, so that's the turbocharged engine. 3 occupants on board. Lake Michigan, 12 nautical miles off the coast. The Cirrus experienced an engine failure, and after the pilot activated the CAPS, that's the Cirrus parachute system, pull number 164, so they're keeping track of each of these pulls, the aircraft ditched into Lake Michigan, 12 nautical miles off Oak Creek, Wisconsin, and sank. The 3 occupants were not injured and rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard. Why? Because they had their life jackets. Here's a picture of the incident aircraft, 121 Juliet Bravo. Assisting tremendously in the successful recovery of this crew was another aircraft, November 797 Mike Alpha, a Piper Malibu Mirage aircraft, who was in the area at the time of the incident and rendered aid. The original flight plan was to depart Milwaukee and fly to Pontiac, Michigan. Looks like about 198 nautical miles, a little over an hour in the Cirrus. And the incident happened shortly after takeoff, leveling off or climbing up to about 7,500 feet. Here's an overview of the preliminary ADS-B data from FlightAware, with the aircraft departing out of Milwaukee, climbing up to 7,200 feet, and then encountering a low oil pressure problem, promptly decided to turn around and head back for land. The low oil pressure problem soon became a complete engine failure, so the pilot elected to glide as best he could back towards land, but much too far away to successfully make it back to land, and then he pulled his parachute at about 1,500 feet for the successful parachute splashdown some 12 miles off the coast. If we take a look at the track log, we can see the aircraft climbing up to his cruise altitude of about 7,000 feet before turning around, and it looks like just these last 2 data points here at about 1,500 feet was after the parachute was deployed, and he was picking up a rate of sink of about 1,200 feet per minute while floating down underneath the parachute. We'll go into detail about how that system works, but first let's check out the ATC information on this. Here's the ADS-B information from the assisting aircraft, November 797 Mike Alpha. Looks like he was departing out of Lorain County, Ohio, and heading to Kenosha, Wisconsin, where he ended up rendering aid right over the splashdown site right here.
Juliet Bravo, contact Great Lakes approach 133.82, 3382.
1 Juliet Bravo, we're 180 backwards. We got low oil pressure indicated on the airplane.
Over 1 Juliet Bravo, roger. You can make a 180 at your discretion and let me know if you require any assistance.
88, affirmative. 121 Juliet Bravo, mayday, mayday, mayday.
November 1 Juliet Bravo, roger. And I'm showing the shoreline still about 20 miles from you. The closest airport's 11 o'clock and about 21 miles is Racine.
11 o'clock and 21 miles. 1 Juliet Bravo, we are going down.
November 1 Juliet Bravo, roger. Juliet Bravo, the wind here is 02012, gust 21.
Okay, we have a little tiny bit of power left. See heading to the nearest airport for 1 Juliet Bravo.
November 1 Juliet Bravo, the closest airport's going to be Racine, and that's about a 340 heading from you. position, I'm sorry, it'll be a 240 heading.
1 Juliet Bravo, the engine is quit.
November 1 Juliet Bravo, roger, and like I said, Racine is still at about 22 miles off about a 240 heading from you. Trail.
No Bravo, copy. Speed and 240 on the heading.
3 miles. November 1 Juliet Bravo, how many people on board?
Souls, 1 Juliet Bravo.
3 souls, you said. 1 Juliet Bravo, we're currently on the phone with the Coast Guard alerting them.
Juliet Bravo.
Number 1 Juliet Bravo, you're still 18 miles from the shoreline. The Coast Guard has your information. We're calling Racine County Sheriff to get a boat.
Thank you.
Number 1 Juliet Bravo, you're about 15 miles yet from the shoreline.
Juliet Bravo, roger. Yeah, we're in a glide here. We'll be pulling the parachute when we get down to about 1,500 feet.
Understood. Number 1 Juliet Bravo, what color is the parachute?
I think it's white and orange. I believe it's white and orange.
1 Juliet Bravo, what color is your aircraft?
Is silver and blue. Parachute deploy, 121 Juliet Bravo.
1 Juliet Bravo, roger, thank you. Number 7 Mike Alpha, can I take you a little bit northbound to see if you can see a plane that just went down in the lake?
7 Mike Alpha, sure.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, turn right heading 340 and descend and maintain 3000.
340, 3,000, 7 Mike Alpha. We'll be looking.
Closer, I'll let you know. They're probably, I'm guessing, maybe 7 north of you.
Mike Alpha, Raj, looking.
And I think there should be a parachute because it was a Cirrus. So as you get closer, I'll point it out.
Mike Alpha, Raj.
And remember, 7 Mike Alpha, descend and maintain 2,100.
2,100, 7 Mike Alpha.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, to be anywhere, I'm guessing probably maybe 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock within the next like 5 miles. The parachute, I think, was orange and white, and the aircraft is silver and blue.
Okay, 7 Mike Alpha, looking. Okay, if 7 Mike Alpha goes left and right, looking.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, yes, if you're in VFR conditions, that's fine. You can maneuver at your discretion.
Mike Alpha, right?
7 Mike Alpha's on an IFR flight plan, so he's kind of constrained as to what he can do. What he needs to do is cancel IFR and go VFR and go as needed. The weather is clear enough for him to do this.
I think I got it. Hang on. 7 Mike Alpha has a target.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, how does it appear? Does it appear to be floating? Do you see anyone?
The parachute is still inflated. It's being pushed by the wind. I'm looking at the scattered layer of clouds we're battling here. The plane is still afloat. Hard to tell. Can we go down?
Number 7 Mike Alpha, I can't do that if you're IFR because 2100 is my limit there.
Okay, we could cancel the IFR, go VFR. It's just a scattered layer.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, IFR cancellations received. Altitude is your discretion. Just stay with me, and if you can circle there for a little bit if you can. We're trying to get help out there ASAP.
7 Mike Alpha, Raj, we'll circle the target. We may drop down just a little bit. It's a scattered layer about 1,500.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, thank you so much.
So 7 Mike Alpha makes the right call and cancels IFR, goes VFR. He's got the scattered layer of clouds, no problem. He can see the target, and this is key to getting the Coast Guard on target. Now, I'm going to switch over to this video clip from Air Boyd. This video that comes to us from Air Boyd comes from a Cirrus CAPS pull years ago while a pilot was attempting to ferry a Cirrus all the way out to Hawaii and came up short. So the Coast Guard captured this video here of the CAPS deployment and the subsequent rescuing of this crew member. But this is not the same accident that we are listening to that happened just on Thursday, the 11th of September, and is not associated with the ATC audio that we're hearing.
Just if you see anybody, like if they get out of the plane or anything, can you let me know?
Will do. I'm going to get a little lower for that.
Sounds good. Number 7 Mike Alpha, what color is your plane?
Our plane is white and blue, and it appears there may be 2 souls standing on top of the aircraft.
Be 3 total, so if you get eyes on the 3rd one, just let me know, and we're passing this all to the Coast Guard right now, hoping to get someone out there.
Okay, and we're white and blue, just confirming.
Number 7 7 Mike Alpha, sounds good. And if you don't like put yourself in any trouble, so if you need to continue, just let me know. But we'd appreciate however long you can hang out there.
7 Mike Alpha, right? Yeah, we can continue circling. We'll probably be down around 1,200 feet, so stay below the scatter deck.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much. Number 7 Mike Alpha, can you tell if they have life jackets at all and if the plane is still afloat?
Oh boy, life jackets are tough to tell for 7 Mike Alpha.
Nope, that's okay. Is the plane still floating?
A little bit less than it was, but it's probably about 2/3 on top.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, you still see 2 people on top still?
It's hard to tell in and out of the scattered deck here for 7 Mike Alpha.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, sorry for all the questions, but the Coast Guard just keeps asking, can you see any clothing that they have on? Do they, I'm sure they're clothed or whatever, but colors on the clothes?
Negative on the colors on the clothes. The airplane's probably 7/8 underwater now. Underwater.
Number 7 Mike Alpha, say again?
The aircraft is 100% underwater. But the parachute is still inflated and could be dragging the aircraft a little bit from the wind.
November 7 Mike Alpha, do you know how much longer you could sit there and maneuver for us? We don't want you getting in trouble either.
Yeah, no, we can be here. We got plenty of fuel.
November 7 Mike Alpha, okay, thank you for all your assistance.
But the aircraft is totally submerged. The parachute is still inflated from the wind.
November 7 Mike Alpha, copy, thank you. November 7 Mike Alpha, and the Coast Guard was wondering, do you have a time for about how long you could loiter there?
Well, we got enough fuel for probably a couple hours, but a half hour yet to go. The aircraft's totally under. The parachute's still inflated, though.
Okay. November 7 Mike Alpha, okay, understood. We're getting word that the Coast Guard is about 18 miles out from the location right now. Sorry, 18 minutes for 7 Mike Alpha.
7 Mike Alpha?
November 7 Mike Alpha, Milwaukee?
Yeah, the parachute's about to go under. I think the airplane's dragging it down. I'm probably going to lose visual on the target here in another 5 minutes.
November 7 Mike Alpha, okay, thank you, sir.
7 Mike Alpha, visual on the target lost.
Coming from the west, so the wind point area, about 5 minutes out. Do you see any boat out there?
Negative on anything right now, 7 Mike Alpha.
So with the help of 7 Mike Alpha, the Coast Guard was able to locate and rescue the 3 occupants on board the Cirrus aircraft. Remember, this video that I'm showing you here is not related to the accident video of which we were listening to the ATC audio from. This is a separate incident. We'll go through the deployment thing in a minute, but here it's splashing down in the level attitude, but there's no cutters on the parachute. So the parachute continues to drag the aircraft. And it's critical, let me back up here a second. It's critical that you have the door open before you splash down like this. So note the way that the parachute shrouds are set up such that it clears the door and that you can open the door to the aircraft prior to splashing down. So get the aircraft splashed down and the parachute begins to drag the aircraft. And this is common to most all of these Cirrus crashes because there's no way to cut those parachute lines. So it's critical to get out of the aircraft because one way or another, this thing's going to sink pretty fast. Now let's go out to the flight line and I'll show you a little bit more about the Cirrus parachute system on an actual aircraft. So on the Cirrus, the parachute is located back here behind this rear window. And then the shrouds of the parachute come out from the side of the fuselage, go over the baggage door, under the main door, and then the forward shrouds attached to the firewall engine area. So you got a point of contact up here, 2 points of contact up here, and at least 2 points of contact back here. But unlike military parachutes, there's no parachute release mechanism like we used to have on the parachutes that we wore on our back. So once the chute's deployed, it's out there, and it's going to drag the aircraft around with the wind. There's no shroud cutters or any way of cutting that parachute away from the aircraft once it's deployed. Located up here on the roof between the two seats is the T-handle to pull the parachute, and you've got to remember to pull the pin as part of your pre-flight before you take off in your Cirrus, so that the parachute handle is hot and you're not panicking and bending the pin in an effort to try to deploy the parachute if you forgot to remove the safety. And this prevents the parachute from getting pulled while it's on the ground or in the hangar here for maintenance. And this parachute needs to be repacked every 10 years. A couple other safety features common to the Cirrus is this honeycomb seat, designed to take the G-loading of the touchdown with the parachute deployed. This is a time-life item. Once you crush this honeycomb in here, you have to replace this seat. So that adds up to the expense of owning a Cirrus, and it's got airbags here in the shoulder harnesses as well. All of these are time-life replaceable items. Now let's go back and look at this parachute deployment from the Air Boyd video of the incident out in Maui and show you how some additional information about how this system works. So first you got to get the aircraft slowed down to a reasonable speed. Bam! You fire the rocket. The rocket fires out of a frangible part of the fiberglass fuselage at about 150 miles an hour. And look at that nose down motion, that initial nose down moment of the parachute. This is why it's so critical that you know and understand and follow the minimum parachute deployment altitude, generally considered 600 feet above the ground in these later model Cirrus aircraft, because when you first pop that parachute, that nose is going to swing down, and if you are too close to the ground, you are going to get swung down to the ground and impact at a fatal rate of speed. So 8 seconds after the parachute deploys, a pair of line cutters is burning and is going to deploy these two rear shrouds right there, and that's going to cut the lines such that they are allowed to extend to their full extension and allow the aircraft to level out. So when the parachute first deploys, the rear lines are shorter than the front lines, keeping the aircraft in a nose down attitude, which allows everything to deploy in a nice streamlined fashion. And then the line cutters deploy, increasing the length of the rear lines to the full length, leveling the aircraft out for a safe parachute landing. Let's take a look at those line cutters in action. Here's a short video from the bench of these line cutters. By the way, these line cutters are another time replaceable item every 6 years on the Cirrus aircraft. There, he just deployed the parachute, waiting 8 seconds. See that little bit of smoke coming off there? It's burning through the charge, and then bam, it cuts the lines. Here's an overview of the entire system from the CAPS manual with the activation, the handles located right up here on the ceiling between the two seats so that anybody can deploy the CAPS parachute. That's part of the briefing. The rocket and parachute pack is located back here behind the rear bulkhead, and here you can see the forward shrouds coming all around the sides of the fuselage to the forward attach point there at the firewall. So step 1, rocket extraction, parachute extraction. Step 2, initial canopy inflation with a reefed parachute. The parachute is reefed down by this snubber ring. Then the snubber ring slides down, further opening up the parachute and decelerating the entire aircraft. And then finally the cutters release the rear lines to their full length, leveling the aircraft to the proper landing attitude. Here's the entire system packed away to be repacked at once every 10 years. Here's the two line cutters. Here's the two line cutters in the packed position. These two items are to be replaced every 6 years. And here's that frangible hatch that's blended right into the paint scheme that covers over the top of the entire parachute system. This CAP system requires proper pilot training. Cirrus is recommending a refresher course every 90 days with a 6-month recurrency check, every 6 months. because there are a lot of considerations to perform a successful CAPS deployment. According to the Aviation Safety Network, this was CAPS deployment number 164, and according to artificial intelligence here, it says that this is, there's been 136 successful parachute saves as of June 19th, 2025, and 274 survivors. So there's a lot of pulls that are not necessarily successful. Though Cirrus did not invent the whole aircraft parachute recovery system, it's part of the engineering that goes into Cirrus aircraft that helps to make Cirrus the #1 seller of single-engine aircraft in the world today. And it's a brilliant marketing scheme to get the wives on board the purchase of your Cirrus aircraft, because a lot of wives don't even like driving with their husbands, let alone flying with them, but if they've got a parachute on board, they'll consider the purchase. So job well done to everybody involved getting these three men back onto terra firme, the more firme, the less terra, and out of the drink of Lake Michigan. And a special salute to all the design engineers and maintainers that make this system such a vast leap forward in safety for single-engine reciprocating power aircraft operations. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. See you here.